2020 was to be surfing's debut on the world's biggest stage in sport. But due to COVID-19, the Games were postponed 1 year. We are taking you inside the lives and minds of the athletes on hold as they stay mentally and physically prepared for the biggest moment in their sport. The excitement is building as we wait for the calendar to flip to 2021. This is the ISA, State of Olympic Surfing.
Welcome, surf fans, to the State of Olympic Surfing. I'm Chris Cote, joined by Jody Nelson. We've got a great show lined up for you today. We're talking to Portuguese powerhouse Frederico Morais, Caroline Marks, surfer representing Team USA, and as always, we're going to be talking to ISA President Fernando Aguerre. Jody, let's start with you. I know Olympic fever is starting to rise. We're seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. There will be surfing in the Olympics this summer.
There will be surfing in the Olympics. And what's super exciting is that there's 5 slots still available for the men and 7 for the women. So that World Surfing Games coming up at the end of May is going to be super exciting. And I can't wait to watch that unfold.
Well, it's pretty exciting to be talking to our 2 special guests today, our 2 surfers, Frederico Morais from Portugal. He's had an up and down career, mostly up due to his high level of power surfing. But in your estimation, what can Frederico Morais expect in the next few months of competition with the World Surf Games and with the Olympics, with that provisional Olympic qualification he's currently holding under his belt? You think that'll free him up to put on a big show down in El Salvador for the World Surfing Games?
Well, I was thinking about this earlier, and I think he has a huge advantage to just have another event under his belt, because as we know, the ISA Surfing Games, they're a different format than what the World Surfing League is. And so these men and women have that opportunity to compete against these various teams, compete as a team with their country. And also you have that double elimination. So you have that loser round. And one thing I know about Frederico is if he loses in an event, it often stirs him up and gives him even more ammo, and he comes back just fighting harder. So I think this type of format really it really lends well to a surfer like Frederico, who knows how to bounce back from losses and actually kind of finds steam and gets better with that loss and finds that motivation and fights back harder. So it's going to be exciting to watch him.
Absolutely. And speaking of exciting, anytime this young woman goes out for a surf session, all eyes are on her. I'm talking about Caroline Marks. She got on the championship tour, turned professional at 15 years old, just turned 19 years old. She's already a veteran in this game. Her future, it's boundless. She has an infinite potential. What do you expect from Caroline Marks in the next few months?
Well, I think something that Caroline has in her team, and actually Frederico as well, both of these athletes, they have surrounded themselves with really solid teams, from their families being super supportive to having really good coaches in their corners. And I've been watching Caroline and Lakey shoot. They have each other as those sparring partners, and I think this Australian league looks like it's going to get underway coming up here. And so I think for Caroline, just being able to put that jersey back on and getting those heats, under her belt and finding that momentum again, I think for her, that's going to be deadly for her competition. And I look forward to, watching her in the World Surfing Games as well in El Salvador, because she has nothing to lose. And that's when she's the most dangerous.
Big, exciting times for surfing. And with that, let's get into our athlete profiles. Let's start off with a powerhouse from Portugal, talking about Frederico Morais.
I'm Frederico Morais. I'm 29 years old and I surf for Portugal. My family kind of always played rugby, so my dad was a rugby player, my uncle was a rugby player. He used to be our national coach for our rugby team. Me and my dad kind of started this adventure because it was really new for him as well. He had no idea about surfing. He literally bought a wetsuit for him. He bought some fins as well, and I basically just grabbed the boogie board when I was like around 5 or 6. Started trying to stand up on the boogie board. Obviously back then, surfing was still really small in Portugal. To find the gear to start surfing was a bit hard. Maybe if you take a photo of a lineup back then and a lineup today, you'd go, wow, what happened? Everyone was kind of surprised there was such a young kid trying to surf, and especially with a dad behind trying to help him. Obviously this whole thing started with my dad. He's a physiotherapist, so he had no clue about surfing, but what he knew about was sports. He got me into boxing, so I had better coordination. He got me into gymnastics, so my mobility would be better. So he found all these things that he thought it could help me improve quicker and made me a better surfer. First year on the QS, I was Rookie of the Year on the Triple Crown. I would always get a good result, but I was just putting a year together, and it was getting really frustrating because I felt like I was working really hard and we were kind of doing everything right. Everyone was kind of, he's not going to qualify. The biggest fear I've had in my career was, am I going to qualify someday? Then we got to Haleiwa, I got second, I jumped to 10th, and that's when everyone kind of started going, but at the same time it's like you're 10th, it's like one mistake and you're out. So I qualified 2016, 2017 I had an incredible year on tour. 2018 I kind of struggled. 3 weeks before pipe I smashed my ankle surfing pipe and I couldn't walk. So my chances to fight for my spot on tour were literally ruined there. It was really frustrating because it just felt like I couldn't fight back or fight for my place. So going into 2019 after this was kind of hard, and I was still recovering from the injury. I was really down and sad because at the end of the day you just feel like your dream's over. It was one of the saddest moments for me in my career. Started again 2019 with completely different mindset, looking at things with a new perspective, and I was super pumped to start the year. And I started the year in Australia and it was 2 first rounds out of the comp, so it was frustrating again. In the middle of the year we had the ISA that had a qualification for the Olympics. To secure a spot for Portugal, you had to be the best European out of the ISAs, and there's a lot of good surfers. I really wanted, because obviously the Olympics is probably the biggest thing to any sportsman, and especially surfing being in it for the first time. Obviously I wanted to take Portugal to the Olympics. That was my main goal. I was in a good mind space, and I guess it just went from there. I just started making hits, not really thinking about, oh, I need to beat this guy, I need to be in front of this guy. I was just thinking hit by hit. And we got to the last day of the comp. I was the best European. I was so stoked because, as well, my father and my uncle always said one of their dreams was to be in an Olympic event. And well, they weren't, but at least I'll be in one, and there's going to be Morais, my last name, which is my father and my uncle's name. It's going to be there, so at least we all feel proud of it. And after 2019, I won the QS, so I was back on tour. So super stoked for a fresh 2020 and super pumped to start the tour. And so I flew to the Gold Coast and I waited, and then we got a text from Renato saying, look, Snapper and Bells are cancelled. Once I flew home, Portugal went straight on a lockdown, so we couldn't surf for like a month and a half, 2 months, I think. And obviously the Olympics being postponed, everyone was so pumped on that. We all had our goals and our, like mindset all settled. Like, it's such a challenging time that it's almost like riding a wave. You can't think what you're gonna do, you just gotta do whatever the wave gives you. I think nothing in life is easy, you gotta work for it, there's gonna be ups and downs, but at the end of the day, it's not even about the results, it's if you can make someone happy, if you can inspire someone. I think that's the end goal of a happy and good career.
Well, very excited now to be talking to a powerhouse surfer all the way from Portugal. Frederico Morais, very happy to be talking to you. I feel like I haven't seen you in a long time. I know you've been surfing a ton because I've seen you on my phone. But let's get a quick update as the last couple of months for you. I know that everyone's kind of coming out of quarantine and starting to flourish a little bit more. So what about Frederico? What have you been up to lately?
I know, first of all, good seeing you again, Chris, too. Hope you're doing good. Yeah, it's been, last year was really hard. We had a tough quarantine here in Portugal. We couldn't surf, we couldn't leave our houses, so it was kind of hard. Well, it kind of felt good at the start, but then by the end, we were really struggling, and I did really miss the ocean, and I wanted to surf and do all those fun things. But right now we spent a month and a half in Hawaii, which was really fun. I think it was one of the best winters I've had there so far in terms of swell. We surfed heaps. I was hanging a bunch with Leo, Ryan, Ethan, the Moniz's brothers. So it was really fun. It was really good training, even though we didn't have sunset running. It was just good to be back on that training program. And now I'm home. I had a really good swell in Madeira. It's a Portuguese island. It was really fun. The water is a little warmer there, so I stayed there for 10 days. It was really good to try some boards and put some boards under my feet. And now I'm just home getting ready to pack for Australia. Just came from the surf, and yeah, I've been doing some training blocks with dog. It has been fun.
I like it. It's great to hear. It sounds like all cylinders are firing. Let's take a step back. In watching your piece, it's pretty interesting that sports really, it doesn't matter what sport you're doing, is if you're coming from a sporting background, you have a leg up on everybody else in terms of flourishing at the sport that you do. I want to talk a little bit about your dad and the beginnings of your surf journey. My dad didn't surf either, but he did other sports, which kind of parlayed into my surfing. It sounds like you had a similar story, just on a little bit lifted of a level than most other people.
Yeah, so my dad used to be a rugby player. He always loved sport, though. Obviously, back in the day when I started surfing, the sport of surfing in Portugal wasn't that big, wasn't anything compared to nowadays, obviously. But I guess it was my passion and I loved it. And my parents were all about, we'll support anything you want to do. And you just got to commit and you just got to have fun and enjoy it. So I guess he saw how happy I was in the water. So like I said in the piece, he just bought some fins, a wetsuit, and started coming with me. I was really small, so I couldn't get through the white washes or catch any waves. So he would just push me. I would ride the wave till the end. He would swim back to the beach, and take me back to the outside. So it was a fun journey. Then obviously things started to evolve and I started wanting more and trying to learn more. And he bought a video camera. and like we spoke, he had no idea about surfing. He didn't understand anything about surfing. But obviously, doing other sports, you, I guess you kind of understand how the body moves and what you kind of need to work, and it's just easier to see things. So he started to learn a lot of surfing, watching surfing, and just trying to find ways to help me improve, as there wasn't many coaches back in the day, and that was kind of our path, moving forward in surfing. And then we find a couple coaches, Didier Pité, Dave Davidson in Australia. So yeah, it was fun, sometimes tough, but really fun. And yeah, I'm really grateful.
Well, we're grateful for your dad helping you out, because I think you've gained a lot of fans around the world, not just for how good you surf, but how you adapt and how you overcome adversity. Throughout your career, you've had some high highs and some low lows, and we've been on that journey with you. I watched you qualify on the North Shore of Oahu. I watched you get your provisional spot for the Olympics just a year or two ago. And it's been really fun to watch the rise of Frederico Morais. So let's talk a little bit about that aspect of who you are. What did you have to dig into to get over those speed bumps along the way to where you are now?
So I think a lot comes with, I guess, the values my family have, and I think a lot of them come from rugby as a sport, because it's got that culture of just not giving up and just pushing forward and fighting back, but at the same time be respectful. And so I think a lot of those things came from my dad and my uncle. So that helped me grow my personality a lot, and just try to find strength, I guess, strength in myself to overcome harder moments in my career, or even in my personal life. So I think that felt a lot is a lot of them. I gotta thank to them and to my mom, obviously. And I just guess a lot of that comes with the people you try to surround yourself with. To start with, I guess that's a big help. If you surround yourself with people that want you to push you up, and they're happy and they're stoked for you, and I'm talking about friends who you travel with, a coach, all that stuff. I'm telling Dog all the time, "Oh, you're a role model for me," and he's like, "I'm no role model. You're crazy. I don't want to be a role model. That's a big pressure for me." I'm like, "No, you're a role model for me." So I look up to him, and that makes me just trust him and trust the process we're going through, and that makes it a lot easier. And another thing, I just feel like you gotta trace a path and just go for it, instead of just sometimes people get a bit lost, and I just like to mark my own path, and this is what I'm gonna do. If it works, it works. If it doesn't work, I guess we'll adapt then. And I guess that's how I built my career, obviously. Like you said, I've had really, really great moments. I've had some poor moments as well. But I guess it's all part, and that's what makes a career really fun, just overcoming adversities, trying to inspire people, try to grow as a person and as an athlete. And it's a fun ride.
It's love to hear it. Well, lastly, I want to talk about Portugal. This is a rising nation in terms of surf talent. Obviously, there have been a lot of great surfers coming from your country. Right now, you're leading the charge going into the World Surfing Games in just a few months. And then, of course, the upcoming Olympic Games will be flying that flag of Portugal proudly. I've seen you do it before, and I'm excited to see you do it again. What does it mean for you to represent, I would say, an underrated super surf nation in Portugal? It's got to feel pretty good.
It feels amazing. It's really good. I'm proud that we're gonna have Portugal in the Olympics, especially being the first time surfing being in the Olympics. I think once I heard it, before it wasn't even a dream being in the Olympics, right? Because it wasn't touchable. You didn't dream that surfing was going to be in the Olympics, and then all of a sudden there's this new dream, this new goal. So accomplishing that, it's really fulfilling, and I'm really happy with that. Obviously, it comes with a big pressure as well, but I think I can deal with that, and I think it's a good pressure to have. And like you said, we've got a lot of good young surfers. Most of all, we have really good waves here in Portugal, especially in winter. A bit too cold, but I guess it can't be perfect. But there's young surfers coming. There's a lot of good surfers, and I think we're creating, like you said, we're a new country in surfing. We can compare ourselves to Hawaii, America, Australia, so we're starting again, we're starting our path, and I think slowly we're growing, and hopefully in the next few years we'll have more Portuguese kids on tour and more Portuguese kids on the QS, and I think that's the goal, and that's the big goal in having a surfing career in Portugal, is try to grow surfing even more.
I like it, and I want to maybe ask you, behind you, I see a big trophy case. Is there space in that trophy case for an Olympic medal?
Always. There's always space, especially for an Olympic medal. You'll find something.
Right on. Thank you so much, Federico.
Right now, I see heaps of space.
Yeah, there's space right there. All right, save that space. Federico, you're provisionally qualified to compete in the upcoming Olympics. Can't wait to see what you do next. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much, Chris.
Hi, my name is Caroline Marks. I'm 18 years old and I'm surfing for Team USA. I have a huge family. I'm one of 6 and I'm right in the middle, and I pretty much grew up with like all boys. Dude, we grew up in Florida, obviously. We had this huge house, like this big land, and we had a half pipe and a full motocross track and everything, so we kind of just like, we're just like that active family. We lived right across the street from the beach, and I've always been super, super competitive, just like on my own. I used to horseback ride, and something I was super competitive in. My older brother used to compete on the QS, and I kind of just thought like surfing was his thing and like horseback riding was my thing, but I just really, really wanted to be like them, and I really wanted to impress them and think I was cool. So I think in order to do that, I was like, okay, I guess I got to start surfing and start surfing really good for them to think I'm cool. And all of a sudden I like just flipped a U-turn and started surfing, and then like completely dropped horseback riding. I truly believe I wouldn't be where I'm at today without them. I started surfing when I was about 9 years old. I turned pro when I was 15. Getting on the tour at 15, you're still such a grum. I feel like still I'm such a grum, like I'm only 18, but the girls I was competing against are girls that I've had like posters on my wall and that I watched every single day and studied their surfing. And then pretty funny though now, because they're all my heroes and I like respect all the women so much, but now you're just like, okay, I just really want to beat these people and I just really want to smoke them. It's like a funny thing. 2020, I graduated high school, so that was one of the good things about 2020. And I definitely didn't have a normal high school life, that's for sure. No prom, no winter formal, none of that. In my head, if you're not winning, you're learning. So especially only being 18, I have so much to learn. And traveling is something you can't learn in a book, you know what I mean? And there's so many things that I've seen at such a young age, and I feel like I've gotten to see the world in third world countries and really been able to like appreciate where I live and what I have and things like that. And that's something you can't just learn in a book until you actually see it. I think a strong junior and amateur career is huge. If you really look at like the history of everyone that's done good as an amateur and a junior, almost all of them are on the tour right now or world champion even. When I won the ISA, I think what made it so special is that the whole team was behind me and I won. And My brother was on the team with me, which was so sick, and him and my dad carried me up the beach and got a gold medal, and they raised that flag, and that was pretty amazing.
Right out of the gates, Caroline Marks, one of the standouts yesterday on day one. She had the highest two-wave total.
When I went to Japan with the team, it was really cool because we were there all day supporting everyone, and I think that gets you really, really excited because you're like rooting for your friends, but you're also trying to win too, and flying the flag, and it just like gets you kind of like really psyched. The ISA opening ceremony was super cool. I've never done something like that, and you know, everyone there was saying like little taste of what the Olympics is like, which is so crazy because I got the chills. It was seeing all the teams and things like that was like so amazing. I traveled a ton before COVID actually happened, and I remember I went to Tahiti, and it was like the first time I got off the plane and they temperature checked me, and I remember I was like, oh my God, this is so weird. And little did I know, a couple weeks after I got back from Tahiti, everything shut down and all the beaches were shutting down. It was pretty crazy, and I was like, oh my God, and then they were canceling events. You know, I think the one thing about surfing is like you have to be really, really good at adapting. So I think with COVID, you know, obviously there's so much uncertainty and there's so many things that you don't know that are gonna happen. I think for me, I'm just trying to like live in the moment and be the best version of me every single day, like work on my surfing every day and work on my training every day, and anything that'll help me get better, and just kind of like enjoy being in the moment. So when I qualified for the Olympics, I remember paddling out to my round of 16 heat with Coco, and I remember if I made that heat, I'd qualify for the Olympics, and it gives me the chills. I was in the water and I won the heat, and you know, it's the best feeling ever when you're actually in the water and you just did it and you just won that heat and you feel so fulfilled. And my favorite part though is when my whole entire family was on the cliff. They're all like really excited, and no better feeling than sharing that moment with them.
Take a deep breath and take all this in.
For sure.
#2 in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've had such an amazing support crew behind me, my family, my coach, my friends, and I think that's been really, really important. Don't let my head get too big. My brothers always are like, no, we're keeping you so humble, which is so great, you know, and to really, really be grateful and really appreciate like where I'm at and what I have, and that's kind of the way I've been raised, so I'm pretty grateful for that.
All right, so that was an awesome look at Caroline Marks and her backstory, everything that is involved with her being the athlete that she is today. And we have Caroline here with us today to have a little chat with her. Welcome, Caroline. Good to see you.
Thank you. Good to see you. Thanks for having me.
And you're tuning in from?
California, San Clemente, California.
Nice. The youngest surfer to qualify for the World Championship Tour. I want to go back to your move from Florida to California, because I mean, there's so many great surfers out of Florida, but they don't always get out of Florida as young as you did. What did that do for your career?
Yeah, I absolutely love Florida. It's like my favorite place in the world. But you know, I was always coming out here a ton for all the summer events for Survey America Prime and NSA Nationals and stuff like that, and the US Open. So I'd always come out here. I have a huge family. There's 8 of us. So we'd always come out here and all compete and stay out here for a few months. But yeah, you know, I think all year round, it's pretty tough to be in Florida just because you don't get enough variety. And, you know, sometimes it goes flat for, you know, months on end, and you can't really have that if you want to be a pro surfer. So, you know, I was like, even though I lived in Florida, I was always traveling a ton. And I think California is such an incredible base, and, you know, it's really close to Hawaii, and it's just kind of where everyone is. It's kind of like the hot spot. And, you know, I work with Matt Biolis now, who lives right in San Clemente, and as well as Mike Parsons, my coach. So I also have lower trestles as like my backyard now. So I think it was like a pretty smart move, and definitely think it's helped my career a ton. And yeah, I think, like I said, I love Florida so much, but I think being in California now is like such a great base. And it's pretty awesome to live here and then go back to Florida and still have a house there and go back there whenever. So yeah, I can't complain.
Yeah, and coming from, you know, such a big family, today's theme with this whole show with Frederico and yourself really seems to be all about family And the team that you surround yourself with, both of you guys have really solid teams with your family that are very supportive, as well as, you know, strong coaches. Can you just give us a little bit of kind of insight into the team that you've built around you and the team that you inherited as your family, and how they have really helped your career?
Yeah, for sure. You know, I think, you know, this journey wouldn't be so special if I didn't get to share it with like all the people I love. And, you know, my family, my brothers and my little sister, they're like my best friends. And, you know, I got into surfing because of my family, and, you know, my family made a huge sacrifice by all moving out here for my surfing and stuff like that. So I definitely, you know, owe a lot to them. And yeah, they're amazing. I think it's so incredibly important to have people behind you that back you and support you, and you know, make it fun. I definitely, like I said before, this journey wouldn't be so special without them. And yeah, they definitely push me a lot, and but yeah, like support me more than anyone. So it's pretty incredible, and yeah, definitely grateful to have them. And it's cool that everyone surfs, you know, like my favorite thing in the world is surfing with my brothers, and surfing with my dad, like sharing that with them is the coolest thing ever, and bringing them around the world, and then they get to watch me compete. It's like the coolest thing ever. So yeah, really special.
Now, you just had a birthday on Valentine's Day, 19,
Yeah.
still a teenager, still a Grom, which is one of your nicknames, Grom. Carl, I won't embarrass you anymore. So you have plenty more nicknames. But how do you balance being a teenager with, you know, you're on the Olympic team, you can kind of technically call you an Olympian, even though you haven't been there yet and competed yet, but and you're a world tour surfer. How do you balance all of these things and being a teenager at the same time?
Yeah, you know, I think I don't know. I don't really think I think like I think doing it you don't really think is the way to do it in my opinion. I just kind of, you know, surfing makes me happy, and that's why I surf. And I just surround myself with my friends, and I have an awesome family, and I kind of just like do it. And I feel like it's really fun to be young, because I feel like I'm such a sponge, and I'm like constantly absorbing information from everyone, and like learning. And like I feel like if I'm not winning, I'm learning, which is like super cool, because, you know, being super young, you know, I definitely do put a lot of pressure on myself to do good and stuff, but in a way I have nothing to lose, because I'm so young and I have so many years to, you know, do all the things I want to do and stuff like that. And so yeah, I just kind of just do whatever makes me happy, and surfing makes me really happy, and it's like really fun to me. So that's kind of how I don't know, surfing solves everything. Being in the ocean, it's like so therapeutic. So surfing's kind of my answer to everything. Yeah, I guess, I don't know. It's definitely like a lot of pressure to handle when you're like a teenager, but I don't really think of it like that. I just do it because it's fun, and just, that's kind of it.
That's awesome. You know, it's been such an uncertain year, and you talked about it a little bit in your profile with COVID and everything. There's been so many start stops, quarantines, and, you know, just kind of, yeah, just you're ready, and then it gets pulled away. You're ready, gets pulled away. How do you kind of mentally and physically keep yourself sharp and prepared to do battle with a jersey on, with all these kind of unknown scenarios going on last year and this year?
Yeah, it's definitely been like a super tricky year. I think none of us ever saw a year like this coming. And, you know, I think the one thing about surfing is that you have to be like really good at adapting. You know, we're relying on Mother Nature all the time. And I think, you know, all of us are really good at like, you know, kind of just going with the flow. And I think that's just part of being a surfer. So, you know, the good thing is that surfing's so much fun. So it doesn't feel like, you know, every single day I want to surf anyways. So I think that's what made this time go by a little bit faster. And, you know, the best way to get better at surfing is to surf, and it's really fun. So I just been kind of doing that every single day. And I think for me, you know, obviously there's moments where it's hard and it's like not quite as motivating, as far as going to the gym and stuff like that. But I just been kind of, yeah, just been surfing a ton, and just like staying ready. Like, so whenever they say, okay, it's on, I just feel ready instead of like kind of catching up. So now that Australia is happening, I feel confident and ready to go, and really excited.
That's great. Yeah. So yeah, we've got the Australian leg of the tour that's going to be kicking off pretty soon. And then we have World Surfing Games coming up May 29th through the 6th. And then obviously the Olympics, July 23rd through August 8th. There's 7 more slots for the women to qualify for the Olympics. at the World Surfing Games in May. Is there anybody you'd like to see kind of solidify their spot in there?
Yeah, I'm really excited for that event. You know, it's pretty cool because there's so many good girls that are going to be there competing for only those 7 spots, and I think, you know, whoever gets it is going to be very deserving. And the cool thing about the ISA games is that I've, you know, even in Japan, I compete against so many people that I would never have the opportunity to compete against, which is so rad. You know, on the tour, you have such a small group of women that you compete against. So it was cool to compete against people from like Greece and Venezuela and things like that. I'm like, well, I didn't even know there was waves there, you know, things like that. So yeah, I'm excited for that event. And I think, like I said, whoever gets those 7 spots is going to be insanely deserving. And I think it's a huge deal. You know, it's the Olympics. It's a massive deal. So I'm excited to watch, and I'm excited to see who qualifies.
Well, thank you so much, Caroline, for joining us today. I'm going to toss it over to Chris Cote, who's got a special guest for us. Take it away, Chris.
Well, thank you for that, Jody. Always a pleasure to hear from Caroline Marks. And now let's get to our special guest joining us all the way from Argentina, Fernando Aguerre, our fearless leader. Welcome, Fernando.
Hey, Chris, how are you doing? Nice to talk to you.
Doing well, doing well. I got to say, I'm getting very excited. There's a lot of surfing to come in the next few months. Well, on this particular show, we featured Frederico Morais from Portugal and Caroline Marks representing Team USA. How do you think these 2 surfers will fare in the upcoming World Surfing Games and the upcoming Olympic Games this summer?
Well, you know, for the World Surfing Games, the pressure is off for them because they're already Olympic surfers. So they go there to defend the pride. And of course, it feels good to go into the Olympics if you win the World Surfing Games, an extra boost for you. In the case of Caroline, she seems to be just on a roll. This is like another step up the ladder, this incredible ladder she has exposed us to in the last couple of years, the last 3 years, basically, since she was 15. And in the case of Federico, it's an amazing up and down that he had a few difficult years, and he came back exactly on a great momentum as well. You know, the question for everybody else is, how have these guys done surfing emotionally, physically, of course, but surfing and emotionally on this late year, on this, you know, interruption of normal life, 2020? And that's a question that, you know, the next couple of months before the World Games in El Salvador will probably give us a couple hints about it, no?
Definitely answers to come. Let's talk about El Salvador. At the end of May, we're looking at the World Surfing Games. This is the last chance for surfers to qualify for the upcoming Olympics. Scheduled for May 29th. You know, I'm seeing light at the end of the tunnel. I'm seeing an epic competition, but you tell us what's the latest and greatest with World Surfing Games.
Well, you know, El Salvador will provide amazing waves. This is the middle of the South Swell, Southern Hemi swell season. So the waves are not going to be an issue. I think the most important part is how are people prepared for that? But it's going to be a festival. It's going to be, again, just like Miyazaki. Wow, 2 years ago. Sounds like it was yesterday, but 2 years ago, the last time we got together. And it will be amazing just to feel the tribe coming together, you know, the top of the top. For some guys, it will be more comfortable, guys and girls, because they already have a slot. But there is 5 slots for male and 7 slots for female that are up for grabs. There's going to be a lot of interest and a lot of excitement and a lot of drama, which is good for everybody.
That's my favorite part of the World Surfing Games. Not only the celebration, the excitement, but also the drama that always peaks its head up throughout the competition. Really looking forward to that. Looking past there, we're looking at the Olympics. So what are the updates from the inside? Don't worry, you can give us the secrets. We won't tell anyone.
Yeah, exactly. We won't tell anybody. It's just me and you. So in reality, it's you know, the good part is that the Olympics have been confirmed. So the IOC is completely and Tokyo 2020 are completely going for it. So this is good. There probably will be some sort of restrictions, you know, social distancing and all the things that we've seen some of that, you know, maybe on the Australia Open of tennis and other activities. But you know, people are living their lives. So there'll be restrictions, there'll be accommodations and protocols to observe, but there will be Olympics and there will be Olympic surfing. And, you know, sometime in early August, we'll have the first Olympic surfing medalists decided.
Nice. So, you know, the hard work you put in over 4 decades is paying off as the Olympics is coming up. what do you expect behind the scenes as we get closer and closer to the biggest moment, maybe in surfing history?
Yeah, I think it's gonna be just amazing. It's the coming together of all these forces that work for us. And as I was saying, there was a TV crew from America last week here in Argentina, and we were doing an interview, and I was telling you, this is just adding an extra layer to surfing. It's not taking anything away. You know, the experience of you and your buddies on the lineup, on a down patrol, whatever your surf spot is around the world will not change, but it will add an excitement that we didn't have. It will add certainly a power of surfing in front of the people around the world. And we are ambassadors of the ocean. We're spokespeople for the ocean. And in the same time, we're like guinea pigs of civilization on the ocean. So we are in a really good sweet spot, I think, for what comes up. And, you know, probably nothing will be the same. And, you know, at one point, I think there were quite a lot of people that were, well, I'm not sure, well, you know, Olympic surfing, yes. And now everybody's excited, and especially the athletes themselves. You know, if you wanted to be an Olympian and you wanted to be the best at something, you couldn't be the best of the best of the best in the world at something without being on the Olympic stage. Now we got that thing about to be checked.
Cannot wait to see that box checked. It's
Yeah,
going to be a huge moment. Well, Fernando, thank you so much, as always, for joining us. I can't wait to see you in person May 29th at the World Surfing Games in El Salvador. Everybody's looking forward to that. You know, like I said, the world seems to be opening. Fingers crossed. We're seeing QS events happen in Australia, championship tours starting, and all eyes are focused on the upcoming Olympic debut of surfing. Thank you, Fernando.
We'll see you in less than 100 days. Okay.